Okay, welcome to part two, conflict to kisses. I'm really excited about this one because when I experienced it and it became very clear to me the first time, this totally revolutionized the way that I handle conflict and the way that I communicate about hard things. You know, a lot of things are hard to communicate about. For a lot of us, just having a feeling is hard to communicate about. For even more of us, talking to someone about their behavior that's affecting us in a negative way is super scary to talk about. And when feelings are running high and we live in close relationship with people, it's really hard to work through the things that we're both doing that aren't super for the other person. Get what I'm saying? Like, it is hard for us to talk about some of these things. And today we're going to take the first blow to why it's so hard and clear that part up. So, is it cool with you if today in step 2, last week we did the overview of the roadmap that we're going to take from being people who are in conflict to being people who are not ever in conflict, who can be a supportive, curious help to someone who's having something difficult happen to them, and who can be a clear communicator about what they need when they're experiencing something difficult. There's a map. And week 1, so go back and watch that if you haven't seen it yet. Part 1 was about that map. You need the overview. That will be the best way to work through this, is to kind of know where we started and where we're going, okay? And everything in between. That's all in part 1. So now that we've got the overview, we're going to talk about the first step. And to tell you about the first step, I'm going to tell you a story about the mail, like at my mailbox mail, the mail, like paper, mail. I like to call this talk the secrets of the postman, but nobody knows what that means. So I try not to call it that, but between you and me, now that you're already in here, we can call it, this talk is called the secret of the postman. Okay. So one day I walked out of my house. It was a beautiful sunny morning. Wasn't rainy or cloudy. I was really happy about that. Grabbed my keys, threw on my running shoes real quick, invited my kids to see if anybody wanted to come with me, and dashed out the door to get the mail. Do you know what I'm saying when you just like, you're going to go get the mail? And it actually feels like a vacation, and you're looking forward to what might be in there. And it's just like, this will take me 5 minutes, something I can knock out real quick. I was taking a break from work. I just needed a breather. And I was like, I'm going to go get the mail. Typically I get it on the way home, but this day I went for the walk. Okay. So I get down to the mailbox, I open the mail, and there's a bunch of white envelopes stacked up. And I'm sifting through them. My name is on all of them. And then like, I get to the last third and it's like someone else's name is on there. So it's a guy who used to live here. Anybody have this? Like, the people who used to live at your address, they're still getting mail here. And it's, to me, it's like too much to do to call the post office and be like, please stop sending this guy's mail to me. So I just get it all the time. And I just throw it away. Anyone? Don't tell on me. His mail, he's probably looking for his mail. But I'm sifting through all the white envelopes and I get to one that has a bright pink sticker on it, and it has exclamation points, and it says stuff like warning and shut off. And I was thinking none of the mail here today was important, and I was just ticking the box by looking at every one, but this one stood out to me. You ever had a piece of mail that stands out? And I thought, because of the pink writing and the shut off word and the warning word and the exclamation points, that this is one that I need to open. And let me tell you what, I was correct, because it was a letter from the city that said I had an outstanding, I think it was water and electricity bill, some utility bill from an old house that I lived at, that had a number on it that I owed the city that was something like $2,500. And it was like, here's the utility fees. It was like a breakdown. Here's the utilities that stacked up that you never paid for. And here is the penalties and interest that has been added to that number to make $2,500. Now, how many of you know that I was not happy about this mail? I was really unhappy about this mail. And I had a lot of feelings about it. And I needed to spend some energy to get rid of some of those feelings. But there was nobody there for me to spend any of that energy on because the postman was already gone. And it occurred to me, this is the secret of the postman. He brings the message when I can't talk back. And good on him, because it's not his fault that I got this piece of paper in the mail that was very upsetting, right? To us, but it really has nothing to do with them. But since they're the one in the room delivering the message, we want to spend our energy that is now building up in our bodies in communicating with them about it. Has anybody ever told you something that was hard to hear? That was about you, but you weren't ready to deal with it, or when you heard it, you were so upset and you wanted to make it about their delivery and not about what the actual message was. Yeah? So that's the first secret of the postman, is he brings the message when you can't talk back to him about it. He wasn't there. I couldn't spend any of my emotional energy unloading on the messenger about the message that I got. So this is one of those things that happens in conflict, okay? That is a recipe for conflict. To receive a message from someone that is hard to hear and take out your emotional energy on them being the one who delivered the message. Okay, also, here's another crazy thing. It turns out that when I got that piece of mail, there had been like probably 40 or more other pieces of mail that came before that one. They just didn't have a pink label on them, and they didn't have an exclamation point on them, and they didn't say warning and shut off. They were just notices. And so the other thing I learned that day is that sometimes someone is trying to send you a message. Sometimes I've been the person trying to send a message that, since it didn't come with a meltdown or somebody screeching out of the driveway angry, or someone punching you in the face or slamming a door or leaving you or divorcing you or having a new relationship start in the middle of yours, since it didn't come that way, you didn't hear it. See, all those other times that I got mail about the utility bill, the money that I owed, I did not open those messages because they looked like every other message. Has this ever happened to you? You missed the message that somebody was trying to send. And by the time you're hearing it, there is a big mess to clean up because they're so tired of sending it. Maybe you've been on the sending side and you get so tired of sending the same message that goes unread. It's like, it feels like it goes in the unimportant category, that you finally send a message that is much, much bigger. Like, I'm leaving you. Or maybe this is between a parent and a child, and like, now I'm given a spank. I've talked about this 18 times. Now I'm spanking you. Or now you're grounded for 3 weeks. Or now the Nintendo Switch goes completely out of our house. Or there's no screens forever. Or something massive comes out of this person who hasn't been heard after they sent a message over and over that wasn't listened to. Getting what I'm saying? So maybe you've been on the receiving end of that. Or maybe you've been on the offering end of that, or maybe you live on both. Typically, when we're having a lot of dysfunction in our parenting or our marriage or any other relationship, we're doing both. I'm sending a calm message until I just can't anymore and then I'm going to blow up, or I've heard a calm message and I'm not picking it up until somebody blows up at me, right? So what we want to do is clean all of that up. Now there's one more secret of the postman. The other thing is, sometimes my mailbox is just so full that I can't get to all the mail, nor do I have any desire to do that. And so in some cases, someone is telling you so many messages all the time, you don't know which one is important. And you're going to miss something very significant. And sometimes we're sending so many messages all the time that the other person is like, full mailbox, I'm just putting all these white envelopes into the garbage because it's too much for me to sort through and deal with. Have you ever experienced that? You're not sure which message to listen to. So here's the first skill that you're going to take away for things that are hard to deal with or talk about. You've got to establish kind of like doing it the way the postman does it. And that is that they bring you a message without any expectation that there's going to be a response to the message at that time. How many of you would it completely change the dynamic in your conflicts if one person was bringing a message and the other person's whole job was just to receive a message? If that was established. So there's a lot of juice you could take out of the secrets of the postman, my mail story, the conversation about that. You could send less messages so you're heard more easily. You could send the message louder the first time so you don't have to send 42 quiet ones and then blow up. You could send it with pink writing on it the first time. So you can reduce the number of messages you're sending. You can send one a little louder sooner instead of talking about it in the day-to-day time. You could say, hey, there's something I need to talk to you about. You know what I'm talking about. Has anybody ever said that sentence to you and then you like have a panic attack? Because that means something real is coming. So if you're not being heard, that is a phrase you need to master. You got to be able to go to people and say, hey, there is something I need to talk to you about. And we're going to get into that more in a second. I'm just going over the takeaways from the postman, and then I'm going to give you one that you can remember and do. So the other takeaway from the story about the postman is that you're gonna have to discipline yourself as the listener to not exert energy based on the message that you're hearing at the sender. And if you can do that stuff, you're going to be able to hear the message other people are sending to you, and you're going to be heard by the person you're sending a message to every single time. If you got two people in the room who are not completely robots, if you have two humans in the room, you can do this. Okay, so here's your skill for the day. This is a part I want you to take away. If you have a notebook, if you have something to write with, if you're like trying to learn this and you want to get from point A to point Z, from conflict to kisses, this is your step. Ready? When something difficult comes up, you're going to say to the other person that you need to talk to, you're not going to bring up the topic at all. You're going to frame the conversation. This is called a frame. You're going to frame the conversation. Like my eyebrows are a frame. If I put them in different places, I'm going to look very different. Have you ever seen those jokes where people like paint funny eyebrows? The way your eyebrows look change the way your whole face looks. The way the shape of your face is and what your hairdo is, it frames you differently. So you are going to frame this conversation so it looks different, okay? You can change it completely. And here's the frame. Before you talk about the topic, you're going to go to the person, you're going to say, hey, I've noticed that you and I could improve our communication. Do you want to talk about that? This is important. You say, do you want to talk about that? And if they say no, then call me, because you need to take some serious measures. If you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't want to talk about how we talk about things, then call me, okay? We're going to help you find out what to do next, because that is serious. So you're going to invite them. Can we talk about that? And they're going to say, yeah, of course we can talk about that. They might even say, I'm busy right now, but yes. And then you're going to bring it up again later. Then you're going to say this. It would be really awesome when we talked about something we both have feelings about, or one of us has feelings about. You could write this down. Remember this. It would be really awesome. Or stick another descriptive word in there that you like, that you would use. If when we talk about something that both of us or one of us has feelings about, that we had a sharer and a listener. And I would love, if I'm going to share something with you, to have some time after that before you respond. Would that be okay? You ask, would that be okay? And probably you're going to have somebody on the other side who isn't thinking as hard about their communication. And so they're probably going to say to you, sure. And you're like, great. Okay, so you can stop right there and walk away. Or you can add this caveat, which I really like because it's probably going to come up next. You can say, Can we agree that if I bring a topic up, I get to be the sharer? And then if you want to respond, you'll be the sharer and I'll be the listener, and we'll just take breaks between and go like that until it's all worked out. Can we agree on that and see what they say? Because odds are good, if you don't establish this ahead of time, you're going to get to the topic, you're going to share about it, they're going to want to talk back to you, and you're going to say, do you remember when I asked you if we could have a sharer and a listener? And they're going to say, yeah, but that's crazy about this. Like, can't we just talk about this? We want to avoid that ahead of time, right? We're going to do the dirty work up front and then walk into an easy situation. So things that are hard up front usually get easier later, and things that are easy up front usually get harder later. Like, you work out and then you're fit. You like save all the money and then you can buy the house, right? You eat really well and then you feel good. Usually hard first makes easy later. So we're doing hard first, but it's not that hard because I'm giving you the skill. Okay, this is the cheat code. So I'm going to review it one more time. Can we agree that whoever brings up the topic is the sharer? The other person is going to listen. And then that we take time between my sharing and then you can respond to me, and that will be you sharing. And I will listen only. Can we agree about that? And they're like, sure. If you use this frame and both people agree with it, and then you get into it, and it doesn't go well, you can, this is like your troubleshooting. Ready? Here's your backup plan. It doesn't go well and they're not gonna be the listener. You can say, I'm so ready to share when you're ready to listen. So you say, hey, after you framed it, you're gonna go, hey, can we talk about Bobby O's schoolwork? And they're like, sure. And you're like, okay, not right now. How about like tonight at 6 or tomorrow at 10? You're always going to set an appointment, and 2 choices is always best. And we're going to talk about that a lot next time. You're going to set an appointment, 2 choices is always best. How about 6 tonight or 10 tomorrow? What works better for you? Oh, 10 tomorrow, that would be good. Okay, great. You might have someone who's like, do you really have to set an appointment and talk about things with me? And all you're going to say is, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay, just own it. Yes, you do. You need to. Okay. So you get to the conversation, you say, hey, I noticed that when Bobby O doesn't do his schoolwork right after school, you get really mad about it, but it's actually fine with me. And here's what I'm proposing. I would like to have him do it just as long as he does it before he goes out to play or uses screens. And they go, well, that's because you, da-da-da. And you go, oh, wait. I'm really happy to share when you're going to listen. When I have a listener. And they go, oh, right, we're talking about that thing. You're like, remember, we agreed. One of us will share, one of us will listen. And then later, you're going to share and I'm going to listen. Remember, we agreed about that. And they're like, yeah. And then you keep arguing, though. If it comes back as an argument at all, at any time, you can say, I would love to talk about this when you're ready to listen. You let me know, okay? All right. And if that goes south, like they never bring it up or they won't sit in a conversation about it again, and there is no sharing and no listening, please get some help. I'm half joking when I said call me, but like find someone who can help you guys with your communication, because that's an unwillingness. And we're going to talk about that as we go further into this course. Connection can only happen with 2 willing people. So you can pretend to have a connection with not 2 willing people, but it's not real. And that's why you're feeling so uneasy about it. And this is how you discover the truth about what's going on. So ideally, you get to share. They're going to listen, and listening is like nodding, saying, uh-huh, repeating back to you what they heard. They're like, okay, they might take some notes. Other stuff, responding is not appropriate yet. You're going to take time, and then they're going to respond. So you can ask them, do you want to respond in an hour or like tomorrow? And if it's something super emotional, take 3 or more hours. That's what I'm going to say. Sit on things, process how you feel about it. You're going to send a message, and in the coming weeks, we're going to talk about how to send a message, how to help the other person feel really free and safe while you send a message, what kind of sharing is appropriate and what kind of sharing is unhelpful. We're going to get into all of that in parts 3 through 6, but I want you to practice setting up a framework. And even with the communication skills that you already have, even if you guys have been fighting, this one thing is going to take out half the potential for conflict. I've noticed it would be really awesome if when we talked about something that one or both of us have a lot of feelings about, it would be so cool if one of us was the sender of the message and one of us could just receive the message, and then we'll give it some time, and then the person who received the message can respond about the message, and then the other person can really listen until we get to a solution. Can we try it? Here's your frame, okay? Go try that. And if you think that you've got it licked, like move on to part 3, that's okay. But I would practice this one first and see how it goes. And if anybody ever wants you to argue about anything ever, you can just say, I do not want to argue with you. And if they want to blame you for that, or like make that some reason that you have bad character, or like you're not a good person, or you're a poor partner, you can just say, I really don't want to argue with you. Really don't want to argue with you. You can use that on kids. I don't want to argue with you. Okay? We're going to get into the rest of it. Parts 3 through 6. Go practice the secrets of the Postman. And write in and tell us your takeaways. I think there should be a place around this video somewhere, depending on where you found it, that you can tell us like what you just learned. And then definitely would be awesome if you go try it and then tell me what happened and how this is benefiting your family. That will be so awesome. Okay. If I were you, I would sit on this one for a day to 3 days or a week before I listen to part 3. But you do you. And if you want to crush through this whole thing, maybe listen to the whole course and then come back. That's fine too. Remember the secrets of the Postman. You need a sender and a listener. You cannot have both at the same time and get anything done, okay? Take out 50% of the arguments in your family by having a sharer and a listener at one time. If you do not have that recipe, do not have the conversation. Okay, have fun. See you in part 3.